My name is Estelle Hope and I am the Executive Director at Scholes Accountants in the Edinburgh office. My main role here is to look after the clients for their compliance work for their accounts and taxation services and to provide any advisory services that the client is looking for us to help with at the same time. I'm also going to be heavily involved in dealing with mentoring and training the students to make sure that they can develop and become accountants and achieve their career aspirations as well. When I was at school, I always seemed to like numbers and, talking about business and finding out about finance. And as part of that, I took a higher accountancy qualification, which I passed without any problems. And from that, I decided when I left school, I wanted to go ahead and develop that further. So I went to university and got my honours degree in accountancy from Stirling University. And from there, I went into practice because I wanted to work with clients to help them grow and develop and to build their businesses up. When I left university, I went straight into practice. So I went into a small practice based in Falkirk, where I used to come from previously. So I worked there for a couple of years, but I moved to a mid-tier practice to finish my training off in Glasgow. And since then, I've spent 20 years in Glasgow working in firms from a small practice all the way up to a top 10 mid-tier company, giving me a lot of different experiences and a different range of clients to work with and a lot of different sector experience. That's what now brings me to Scholes, because the type of client base that we have here allows me to work in the SME market and help clients to push their business on and achieve what they want to achieve for themselves. For me, it's owner-managed businesses. I really quite like working with family-run businesses or smaller businesses where they require a bit more help. So I also do audit clients, but that I do less audit work than I do the small, medium enterprise specialism. So for me, it's more going into a company that they know how to run their business and they know how to do a great job in the business that they have, but they do need that extra bit of financial assistance, which is what I like to go in and help with, not just the compliance side, but also anything else that they want to do. They can speak to me as if I'm an extra member of their finance team and I can give them advice, because that's what I get most out of, is giving people advice and helping them grow their business. Whenever I meet a client for the first time, I find it's always really important to actually get to know them as a person. It's not just about a transaction that you're providing a set of accounts. So I tend to make sure that I spend the time knowing the client, understanding them, finding out about them, how they like to work, what they like to do, and about their family and things like that. And then from there, I keep that contact going. Every time I speak to them, I remember something that I spoke to them about before, just effectively building that relationship up, which means they are comfortable to phone me at any given time if they've got any queries, because they feel as if they can. So to me, it's all about maintaining the relationship and building that up and making sure that you've got a connection with the client. I tend to talk to them more about their business. So I make it very personal to them in terms of if they've bought something or if they've got a certain return on their sales. I talk to them, I bring it down to a level where they're talking about what they know every day. So I have to have a good understanding of the client as well to be able to do that. But if there's any problems when I'm discussing the accounts, if there's anything they're stuck with, I just make sure all the way through that they are understanding, and I change the way that maybe I say something to them if they've not quite understood it the first time, because not everyone's an accountant and not everyone's got that background, so you need to adapt your style to whoever the client is and how they like to deal with you. Yes, most certainly over even the last 10 years, when you look at the changes that we've had in the accountancy profession, we have started to use artificial intelligence a lot more to produce reports and to provide packs to clients to help them find more about their business than just the numbers. And we can also use artificial intelligence to roll their business forward and show them what changes they can make to the business and the impact that would have on their future results. So most certainly it has It has allowed us to talk more about the future than the past, which seems to be more where every accountant's going now. They want to talk about where the client is going to rather than where they've been. And artificial intelligence is a fantastic tool for us to be able to do that. There's a lot of research that you have to do as an accountant to make sure that you do remain up to date, and that we have a certain requirement that we have to keep following, a certain number of hours we have to do to keep on top of all of that. So it would be things like, it can be something like attending a course or having an internal course or just your own research to keep on top of all of the changes, because it is an ever moving target, the changes for accountancy. So we have to make sure that we know exactly what's going on and when the changes are happening and when they'll be implemented. Yeah, it's more, rather than a financial situation, I would say it was more their situation and their business. I had a situation with a client where they had 4 or 5 businesses, that they had one finance manager who was involved in running all of that, and they had really good control systems, and the finance manager was fantastic. However, at short notice, they had to retire, and I left the company without that support there and that finance person that they needed on board. And they approached me because they were concerned about how we were going to deal with this. We don't know who to bring in. We don't know what skills they need to actually be brought in. So what I had to do for the client was I prepared them a job spec so that they had a list of criteria that any new individual coming in would have to achieve. I also sat in on the interview and reviewed all of the CVs to select the candidates in order to help them sort that. So from going from a business where everything was running perfectly to a business where they had no finance function at all, to then being able to adapt that to give them a full finance function. And they managed to appoint, from those interviews and from the CV selection, they managed to appoint someone and bring them on board, and they've been a great replacement to grow and develop that business with them, and they've actually grown massively since that new person's come on board. More in terms of if there was a client that I had who wasn't making a profit in their business and they weren't entirely sure what they were doing wrong. So I sat down with them and we looked at the margins that they were making on their different products, and we tried to work out what they would have to sell them for compared to their suppliers. And after that whole exercise, they carried it out for every single product, and they changed the product mix where they got rid of some products, they changed the prices on others. And as a result of that, they turned the business around within 12 months to be a profit-making business, just through that small change of looking at the product mix and how much they were going to be charging for each individual sale. So to me, that client was extremely, extremely grateful and extremely happy that someone sat down and gave them that advice. And I think that's probably a great achievement for me, because it turned their business around, and I could see the impact on them as people, and I could also see the impact on the business results when I prepared the accounts. I think that the first thing, to me, the most important thing with any accountant client is actually the relationship. You have to make sure that you merge with that person, you gel with them. You can get an accountant anywhere, but what you have to do is make sure that you actually like that person and you can work with that person, and you feel that you're your trusted advisor, effectively, that you can go to at any turn if you need any advice. You also need to look at your own business with regard to if there's any specialisms that you have to deal with. You want to make sure that your accountant is all round and they're able to deal with all of the different areas that you need them to cover in your business, which is all down to the discussion of what you need from an accountant and what they can supply. And from that, you would select the one that was best fitted for you, that could give you the all-round service and be someone that you can actually get on with and feel like you can ask them if you need anything from them. I would say it's hard work. It's the first thing I would say to them is it's hard work, but it's a very worthwhile effort that you put in to get your job at the end. You have to be interested in finance and numbers, and you have to want to take that forward, and you have to be good and want to speak to people in terms of talking to clients. It's key that you're looking for a client-facing role where you're communicating with clients all the time, and you have to just work hard, and it reaps the rewards in the end once you've worked hard and you've got your qualification.